Welcome back to another edition of Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com. I'm your host, Tony Simeone, joined by the head coach, Brian Kelly. Coach, first time you've lost at home in over 4 years, ends that 26-game winning streak. What was the primary reason you guys came up short against Cincinnati?
Self-inflicted wounds. I don't want to take anything away from Cincinnati. That's a good football team. But, anytime you turn the football over the way we did, and including in special teams, it's difficult to overcome. I'm proud of the way our guys fought in the second half. They battled, but we just came up a little short because we put ourselves in such a hole.
There's still a lot of season left. I think in college football, sometimes it can seem like one game is the end of the world. But what was the message to the team after the game with so much season remaining?
Well, it was that. It's like we have a lot of football to play, and certainly this is a football team that can win each and every game they play. Now, it's going to require us to obviously, continue to prepare and play much better. But we're capable of doing that. So we'll evaluate and obviously go through all those processes. And then when you're done with that, you got to turn the page and get ready for a really good Virginia Tech team.
Coach, thanks. When we come back, we'll break down the game against Cincinnati on Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com. Welcome back to Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com. It's now time for this week's game breakdown of the game versus Cincinnati. Coach, first drive of the game, thought a really good drive overall. Specifically, let's talk about that 4th and 10 play to go for it. You made the decision, and a great throw by Jack Cohn to Michael Mayer.
Yeah, we were kind of in that no man's land, right? I mean, we were out of field goal range, and, a punt there, I thought, I thought you could probably pin him, but it was early in the game, and I wanted to stay on an attack mode. That was our thought process coming out. And we had a good play call. We knew we were going to get the good matchup. It required a great throw, and Jack threw a great ball to Mike, and we were able to pick up that 4th and 10.
That drive, though, unfortunately ends with an uncharacteristic interception. At that point, just what was going through your head when that pick was made? Because it was a real momentum shifter early in the game.
Yeah, it was uncharacteristic of Jack. That's something that he doesn't do. He's really, really smart with the football, and it's one he'd like to certainly take back.
So the defense that played pretty well throughout the first half. Specifically want to highlight a play, the Clarence Lewis pass breakup, one-on-one coverage deep on the second drive of the game from Cincinnati. He made a big play for you guys in that spot.
Yeah, and that's what we were expecting. Ritter can throw the ball deep, and we felt like two things. Ritter throwing the ball deep and him running. And the running hurt us, especially in the red zone where, he was able to set up a couple of scores. But the deep ball, and that hurt us too later. So the two things that we needed to take away, I thought Ritter was able to throw the ball pretty well down the field. But in this particular play that you pointed out, Selu was in good position to make the pass breakup.
So you brought in Tyler Buckner at one point. A tough interception there, gave them really good field position to get the first score of the game. Then the muffed kickoff return. Just those two miscues at that time. Again, that's not something we've seen from your team this year. So what was going through your head when those plays took place?
Well, the one with Buckner, we wish we had that back over. We probably put him in a tough spot there. 3rd down, some exotic coverages, probably, if we're going to look back on that, I can't put that on Buckner as much as, maybe we put him in a better situation next time. Chris Tyree makes that catch 99,000 out of 100,000. It's just one of those things that happens. And, you go back and you look at all the little things that he does, and he's very, very focused and detailed in his work. You probably won't ever see that happen again. But it happened, and the great part about it is our defense bowed up and kept them to 3, and that was a really big stop for our defense.
Yeah, defense came up big there, held them to 3. Seemed like that was what they did throughout the entire first half. They did give up the touchdown late to make it 17-0. I thought Cincinnati did a great job in that 2-minute drill. So you go into the locker room down 17-0. What was the message? Because the team came out really strong, I thought, in the third quarter.
Yeah, I told them, look, let's not even think about the scoreboard as much as how we play and how we want to be looked at in this second half. And I said, nobody's gonna, give up the rope. We're gonna battle here. We're gonna play tough. We're fighting Irish, and that's how we're gonna play. And we did. We fought. We obviously dug ourselves too big of a hole where we almost had to be perfect, and you can never be perfect in this game. And we got it back to 17-13. We missed the extra point, and then we just couldn't make the stop that we needed to. But again, I think when you look at it, when you get down 17 points to a good football team, the number 7th ranked team in the country, that's a pretty big hole to climb out of.
Let's highlight a couple of those plays that got you back in the game. Isaiah Foskey, big strip sack. He's just made such great strides this year. What did you like from him on that play? But in general, now, with this team, he's played really well. What have you liked from him all season?
I think probably, his grit. He's had a shoulder injury. He's bounced back from that. He's playing with I think just a little bit of an edge, where he wants to be regarded as, one of those top pass rushers that we've had here at Notre Dame. I just love his maturity and his toughness as the season's gone on.
Offense got the ball back, down 17-7, and Drew Pine orchestrated another great drive, 8 plays, 80 yards. But the throw to Braden Lenzy, to see him make that big catch, that really got the crowd into it. Yeah. Big spot for your team in that moment.
No doubt. I mean, we needed to win some one-on-one matchups. That was one that we had set up as a double move on the outside, and Lenzy just used his speed. The ball was put in a pretty good position too. It was outside from the DB, which allowed Lenzy to turn back and get the football. But as you mentioned, just a big play at that time to get us some momentum. You
mentioned that the defense just couldn't get that last stop at the end. Cincinnati probably had their best drive when they were up 17-13 to make it the 2-score game. Just what did you take away from that drive where your defense was just unable to even just keep them to 3 to keep it at a 1-score game?
Yeah, execution in some key areas in zone coverage. We weren't able to cover his seam route one time. The other time, the ball gets outside our defense. Some really fundamental issues that we got to do better job coaching, and put our kids in a good position where they can make those plays moving forward.
This is something a lot of people on this team have not experienced, right? Losing at home. It's been over 4 years. So I'm just curious what the locker room was like and what the message was at the end of the game.
Yeah, again, I think all of our guys were disappointed in the loss. There's nobody that doesn't feel that they have some kind of part in that. But I think at the end of the day, you got to take stock and look at, how this game is played. They prepared very well, but your performance still matters. And if you beat yourself, those are the ones that are really difficult to come back from. And I think this one probably lingered a little longer because we gave Cincinnati a lot of life.
Coach, thanks. When we come back, we'll have more on this week's edition of Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com. How does your background as a receiver help you on the defensive side of the ball?
It's actually a joke because I actually switched. According to the team, I actually switched because I couldn't catch the ball that well. But now I guess it's that mantra is switching. But I think this more so just understanding routes. There's a certain way that you're going to run certain routes, and I feel like me being a defensive back, I can see myself and some of the receivers see the way they come off the line of scrimmage with the certain tempo and certain speed and the type of breaks that they're going to make throughout the route. I feel like just playing receiver and playing at the high level of Notre Dame it allows me to play defensive back at a much higher level.
Yeah, for you guys on defense, new defensive coordinator Marcus Freeman, how have you guys seen the development take place under him now in this new scheme?
Just being in defense, I can see that a lot of players are playing more free, having more fun. It's a really attacking defense. We like to get at the quarterback. We like to play and allow the defensive back players to have fun and play man coverage or do whatever we have to do. So I've had a lot of fun playing it, and I can probably talk for a lot of guys. It's good.
I want you to take me back to before you came to Notre Dame, when you were making the decision to come here. What went into that, and why did you end up coming to Notre Dame?
Gotcha. Coming to Notre Dame, Notre Dame is attached with excellence. And I just feel like even with me being a person that wasn't a Notre Dame fan growing up, didn't know much about Notre Dame, just that connection with excellence that Notre Dame has, and people who haven't even been to Notre Dame or don't even know what happens on a day-to-day basis here, just understanding what Notre Dame is about. And I think that was huge for me, going to a school with that type of reputation. And also just being in this environment is wonderful. It's a big family environment. I feel like the people that I see on an everyday basis is someone that I can have a conversation with, and it's not anything like where I feel uncomfortable or things of that sort. And that's what I enjoy most about this school, this team, everything.
I was going to ask you, what is maybe the biggest impact you've seen Notre Dame have on you since you've been here?
Relationships, I think, and just trying my best to leave an impact. I feel like a lot of people here have, even in a 5-minute conversation, have left a big impact on me, and I feel like that's what I try to instill within myself, and I probably don't accomplish that on a day-to-day basis, but that's something that I try to reenact that, and I feel like that's probably the biggest impact that it's had.
We'll be back with more on Inside Notre Dame football right after this. So Myron, you guys lost for the first time in 26 games at home this past weekend. I'm just curious, for you as a captain and a leader on this team, what was the response like after the game, and what's the team's mindset now going forward?
Yeah, I mean, coming into the locker room after the game, it was definitely a bitter taste. The guys just understood that we beat ourselves out there, and we just got to come back to the drawing boards and just pick it back up.
There's plenty still at stake next week against Virginia Tech. What's going to be the biggest key this week as you guys prepare to go into a really hostile environment?
I think one of the biggest key this week is just coming into this week and understanding that we don't want to have that feeling ever again, and just really got to trust in our process, honing on the details, and just execute our game plan.
You know, I want to ask about this defense now, about a month under Marcus Freeman. It's a new scheme. You guys have really been playing well, though, in that scheme. What are some of the things you've enjoyed about playing with Marcus Freeman, and where do you think the defense has really evolved in the first month?
The versatility. It allows guys to move around and play in different spots, and so we give a lot of different looks, so we're pretty versatile in that way, and it's just been fun, really, having amazing coaches and teammates that we just go out there and play for one another, and then that's just the biggest thing, and I think one of the biggest reasons why you see this defense flying around.
Let's go back maybe 5-6 years ago, before you came to Notre Dame. As you were making your decision, if you can think back to that time, what was it about Notre Dame that drew you to come to South Bend?
It's hard to explain. It's just, I feel like the moment you step on campus at Notre Dame as a recruit, it's just a different feeling, a different vibe, and only those who really come out here and experience this place can really understand.
You know, I've heard a lot of people say, you're not going to come to Notre Dame and change Notre Dame. Notre Dame's going to change you. What is maybe a change you've seen Notre Dame have on you?
I definitely want to say I've matured more as a person. The life lessons that I've learned here, I'll take with me forever.
For you personally, the last couple months have obviously been difficult. I just want to know, how has the team supported you? How has this community supported you during this time?
Yeah, even though the past few months have been difficult, my teammates and staff, as well as Notre Dame community, they've all been reaching out to me, always checking up on me, and just the love that they surround me with just keeps me in good spirits.
As you reflect on your time here, now that you're in your 5th year, I'm just curious, what are the moments, what are the things that come to mind when you think about your experience at Notre Dame that you'll take with you beyond this place?
As I reflect on my time here, I think the biggest thing I'll take away is the relationships I've made here. Just a lot of people full of class and respect that you don't meet anywhere else. I feel like the Notre Dame community and the relationships I've built here are something that will last forever and that I'll cherish forever.
There's plenty of season left. You're a captain, a leader of this team. I know you mentioned not wanting to have that taste in your mouth again. So what will you do as a leader of this team to ensure that the rest of the season goes the way you guys want it to?
Just being the best leader I can be, motivating the guys when I feel like they're discouraged, and really just loving one another more than ever. A lot of people are probably going to turn their backs on us for the rest of the season, but you know what? It's all about the guys in the locker room. So,
Myron, thanks for the time.
Of course.
When we come back, we'll go inside the play with Irish Intel, presented by TireRack.com. It's now time for Irish Intel, where we go inside the play. Coach, let's look at this play. Big play from your defense at this point. Really started some momentum at 17-0. Isaiah Foskey with a big strip sack.
Yeah, we're playing some zone coverage here, and I think it caused Ritter to kind of hold the ball a little bit. But Isaiah Foskey gets a great get off here into the short field here. We're bringing in the inside backer, which again forces Ritter now to move his feet. But you can see we're in a zone, a deep zone with Hamilton off the hash, and he never even feels Foskey until the very end, and I think that's what makes this play. Gets around the end here, he's looking, double pumps once, and it's just really too late now for him to make a play.
All right, Coach, this is the first touchdown of the game. Kyron Williams gets to pay dirt on a 1st and goal.
Yeah, they're in a gap defense. You can see they're trying to cancel out all the gaps. We're running our duo play, which is we're trying to double team, but because of that, we have to wash everything down, and when we do so, you can see all the gaps cancel out, and once that happens, this becomes a bounce play where it now becomes Kyron one-on-one on the outside against the inside linebacker here, because Avery does a great job taking care of the corner, and once he bounces, he's got the speed feet to get to the pylon. So good execution. This is why that play is really good on the goal line, because if you cancel all the gaps, and which they did in this instance, it becomes a bounce play and a play that's effective to the end line.
So just to clarify, is this a play where Kyron has the option to run behind his offensive line, but he elects to bounce it out and he makes that call himself?
Yeah, and again, because it's a goal line defense, you can see everybody blocks down, and once this thing gets all blocked down, he knows that this is immediately a bounce play for him.
Okay, Coach, this is the second touchdown of the game. Braden Lenzy, 32-yarder. Great to see him get into the end zone. Great throw from Drew Pine as well.
Yeah, and we're going to make sure we get the ball out here. You can see we're in a 2 tight end set, so we're actually in an 8-man protection. Normal protection is 6. We're in an 8-man protection because we're going to get this ball down the field. And being in a 2 tight end set is going to force them to be in man-free coverage. So we get the one-on-one on the outside. You can see the protection here. You know, we do get beat here by the tight end, but we get great help by Chris Tyree, and it allows him, obviously, Drew Pine now, to just get out there and throw the football down the field. And that's what we were looking for in this play. The ball's thrown just a little bit outside and behind the defensive back, which allows Braden to go up and make a good catch and really give us some momentum in the game.
When we come back, we'll wrap up this week's episode of Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com. Welcome back to Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com. Time to wrap things up. Coach, we talked about it, but this loss against Cincinnati ended a really long streak, an impressive streak at home at Notre Dame Stadium. How do you now start a new streak with this team going forward at home?
Yeah, well, it's kind of interesting because the last time we lost a regular season game was against Michigan, and the next week we played Virginia Tech. So, you know, how we turned our season around in that year was beating Virginia Tech and then winning 16 consecutive regular season games. So feels like deja vu all over again, and that, you know, you got to turn the page sooner or later, and you got to go back to trusting the work that you put in, your process and your preparation, and we'll do that, and we have done that, and that'll get us ready for the next one.
How do you communicate then the importance of this game at Virginia Tech, going into a really hostile environment, but last time you went there, you guys handled it really well. It's going to be something new for a lot of these players.
Yeah,
too.
We'll address the environment. We'll show videos and the sound of Enter Sandman, which is a big deal. We'll get them used to that, similar to when we went to Florida State, you know, with that environment. So we'll handle the environment. Then it's about preparing and playing, and it's, you know, the game is the game. It's no bigger than last week or next week. So our guys understand that. It's just we'll get them to stay in their best zone by taking away the distractions of all the things that are around them.
There's always a lot of emphasis about teams coming off of a bye week. I'm curious, though, how do you coach a team going into the bye week? Is there any chance guys could be looking ahead? What will you do to make sure that the focus is on that game?
Well, when you come off a loss like we just had, I don't know that there's too much of a worry about looking ahead. You're probably worried about it if you're still winning. Our guys will be focused. They're really wanting to change the way they feel about last week's game. So their focus will be on Virginia Tech.
Coach, as always, appreciate the time. We'll talk to you after the bye week.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That does it for this week's edition of Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com.